econ. What is it really about? So, economics. What is economics really about? No, economics is kind of a science-ish. That's what the definition says. But economics studies the behavior of individuals, right? And to think of it in a very simple way, in economics, you're either one of two people. I'd say one of three, but let's just stick it at two for the time being. You're either one of two people. Either you're a consumer or you're a producer. So in economics, we study the behavior of individuals. But remember, in economics, we zoom in on individuals as either consumers or producers. So let's just make it very simple. In economics, you're either a consumer or a producer. Of course, they may be both. And of course, we're going to take the government into consideration at a later date. But for now, we're going to leave it right there. So, this economics thing studies the behavior of consumers and producers. Alright, so it studies the behavior of individuals, and as far as economics is concerned, the two types of individuals for now are consumers and producers. So first we will look at consumer theory and the other JAM thing, and then we'll look at producer theory. Right? But right now we're talking about what economics itself is really about. And we hear about the term economic activity. Right? That's just a fancy term for buying and selling. Right? That's what it is. So when you hear economic activity, we think about buying and selling. That is what we mean by economic activity. Right? So that is what economics is really about. And if you can simplify it like this in your heads, then the whole thing will become, well, a whole lot less complicated. Alright? And then we have a terminology we use very often, market. Now, when you hear market, the first thing we think about is, oh, down the place where you buy some tomato and some what you call it, yam and banana and such like. But a market is really the demand and supply of anything. So we have the market for many things. We can have the market for cars, the market for houses, the market for shoes, and we're really just talking about the demand and supply of these things. And later on we'll talk more about demand and supply in details. So now we're just going to quickly talk about what on earth demand is, but not in depth, and what supply is. Now, consumers are the ones who demand goods and services, right? So when we talk about consumers, or when in economics, when we look at a consumer, and I'm sure that many of you are likening yourself onto a consumer, right? Myself too. It's more natural to do that, right? So consumers demand and producers supply. Alright? So, but by demand we mean we want stuff and we buy stuff. Alright? And when we get to demand, we'll talk more about it. Alright? So, demand is really the willingness and ability to buy stuff, and supply is the willingness and ability to supply those stuff. So, producers supply goods and services, and consumers demand these goods and services, and that is basically what you do in economics, what you learn about the different types of consumers, the different types of producers, how they behave, how they react to this, that, and so forth, right? And the market is just the demand and supply of stuff. So the car market is the demand and supply of cars. The house market is the demand and supply of houses. The shoes market is the demand and supply of shoes. So when you think about economics, you just think about how individuals behave. And remember that as far as economics is concerned, you're either a consumer or a producer. And remember, the government, but we'll talk about that at a later date. This is just a quick intro, just something to tell you, oh, this thing is not going to kill us. It's just economics. So, see you in the next vid.